Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Devin with Sinister Machine Works. It's been a very hectic last few weeks here in the shop. I moved out 2 old machines and I got delivery of my brand new DN Solutions SVM 4100. Shop's a disaster right now because I had to move everything out just to get the 2 old machines out and the new one in. So I've been working at getting the shop back into function and form and get the new machine set up and started using it. If you've seen my other video about why I chose the DN Solutions SVM 4100, if not, I'll link it below. But here is my new machine. I'll give you a quick overview of it and I'll share some pictures and talk about why I went this way and my experience buying the machine and getting it installed and everything else. So here's the machine. I've only maybe have 1 hour of use on it. As you can see, a few chips in here. Got 2 vices set up on here. The orange vise and old Kurt vise. Pretty standard machine. It's got the Fanuc I-Series latest control on it. I don't have it running right now just because I'm running off a rotary phase converter and it gets pretty loud, and then the air compressor kicking on. I wanted everybody to be able to hear first, but future videos I'll show the machine running, projects I'm doing on it, everything like that. But this is just a kind of intro to the new machine here in the shop. So you saw the new machine. I just wanted to go over a few things on it. I'll show some pictures of the machine in the crate and like it unwrapped and stuff like that. I didn't take too many pictures. I was unloading the machine and rigging it myself, so I was pretty busy trying to do that. And also, if you're going to do it yourself, make sure you have a forklift that will lift 11,000 pounds, because you'll have a bad day if you don't. The one I rented barely could lift it, and I think the lift capacity was right at 10,000 pounds, and it was pretty sketchy at times. So I bought the machine from Ellison Technologies. That's my DN Solutions dealer for the area. I talked to my salesman. Tim's my salesman. He's been great to work with. I've talked to him multiple times about a machine like this. I previously bought a machine from him before. They're always great communication. I could text him on a Saturday, and I usually have a text back in a couple hours if I had a question on something. So they go above and beyond on the sales side. On buying the machine, you make your order. If they have it in stock, it'll come right away. Mine wasn't in stock, and I didn't really need it right away. So from when I made my order to when I received it, it was probably 2 months, and I just pushed it out a couple months just because I didn't need it right away, and I wanted time to get a bunch of my machining caught up and get ready for the new machine. Um, so that wasn't a problem at all. The freight, they had it loaded on a truck and delivered to me. Um, that was all included, in a price. Um, my responsibility was rigging the machine off and getting it set on the floor, rough leveled, power and air hooked up with. I had to supply spindle oil because it shipped without spindle oil, and of course coolant and tooling. You need obviously work holding. So um, I rented a forklift. I lifted it off myself, uncrated it. I have machine skates, set it on machine skates, put it in. Um, it's pretty straightforward. Actually a fairly heavy machine for its size. Right at 10,000 pounds, so it's robust. Um, I moved out two machines to make room for this one. One was a Tormach 1100. I moved that out. I didn't have to move it out. I just did it just to give myself more room, and I just don't use it. I bet I have 1 hour of use in the last year on it, so it was mainly just taking up space. The other machine I moved out that I used all the time was a 2006 Fidal 2216. So size wise, it was almost identical size. So that was pretty nice to replace it with a machine the same size, so I didn't lose a bunch of space and stuff like that. Um, and then, after I get the machine in, sat down, rough leveled, I got the chip conveyor in and the coolant tank. Those go on wheels. You set the chip conveyor onto the coolant tank, and then you can roll the whole assembly around. You don't install that until the tech comes out to do the install of the machine. And for that, you have to have power hooked up to the machine and air hooked up to the machine, and everything else just sitting there ready to go. My machine got delivered on a Monday. I let them know that it was here, and I got power hooked up. I think it was Tuesday. I did it myself. Just did some flex conduit, ran 6/0 wire to it from my rotary phase converter. I have a 3-phase panel tied into it, so I just ran it off a breaker in there over, and did hardline plumbing over for the new airdrop to the machine, and I had that done on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, the tech was here to do the install. They're right on the bat, getting ready to go. So I was here with the tech, helping them out a little bit. There's a couple things that it's not really a one person job. Like the machine comes with moving brackets or shipping brackets installed to support the table, the spindle, and then the control panel. The control panel is bolted in, tucked in tight, so that it will, be more compact for shipping. And that's a 2-person job to unbolt that and move it into the correct position and bolt it onto the machine. I was gladly there, to be there to help, just get it done faster. And the tech that came out, he was great, right on the ball. Got the machine leveled. We got that. Ran it through its paces, make sure everything was right. Have the chip conveyor and everything hooked up, and I think he was done by 3:00 that day. So, it was a super fast install, not a lot of downtime. Within 4 days, the truck showing up, the machine was up and running. So, that was great. Uh, the service manager, he sent me the information I needed, probably a week ahead of time, just to let me know, hey, you're going to need this type of oil. We require this voltage for your machine. My phase converter is too high a voltage, so I had to go in and lower it down manually, which is pretty easy. But that's nice that they told you, hey, you need to have this so that the machine's right. Tech was out, verified, so everything was good. Um, just a few additional costs for that machine. I had $185 in the electrical for it. That was just the wire because I pretty much had everything else needed to put it in. If you're doing it yourself, it can be pretty cheap. If you have to have an electrician come in, you might be spending a couple thousand. Everybody's gonna have a different outcome on that. Coolant doesn't matter what you have for a machine. You're gonna need coolant. I bought a 5 gallon bucket, an extra one because I put new coolant in. That was just about $300. It pretty much took a whole 5 gallon bucket to fill the machine. So that's something just to keep in mind. Spindle oil, I bought 6 gallons of it. It only took 3 gallons, but I was able to buy it at a pretty decent price if I bought 6 gallons. And it's one of those things that you need to service at so many hours. I'd have to look it up, but I believe it's 1,000 hours or 2,000 hours, something like that, where you need to drain the oil, put new oil in. So I'll have oil ready to go for when I have to do that. I had a Fidal before, so I had Cat 40 tooling, so I didn't really need any new tooling, but I needed different pull studs. I spent just about $700 on pull studs for my tooling, which going into a new machine, you need to budget in tooling just because you might have to get different pull studs, you might have a different taper, all that stuff, or you might go from just a standard mill to like a through spindle coolant mill where you can take advantage of that through spindle coolant and get tooling accordingly. So just keep that in mind when you get a new machine. But I've got maybe an hour runtime on this machine so far, just because I've been so busy trying to get everything going, get a shop back in order after moving everything out, moving stuff around. My first initial impressions are I love the machine. Great machine so far. I haven't even pushed it very far. Just the night and day difference between my Fidal and this was huge. Fidal is a great machine. 20 years old, but it worked just perfectly for what I needed for the time. I just wanted to upgrade machines because I've seen so many companies that they'll buy a machine and they'll run it for 30 years and never reinvest into the company and just run those machines till the time that they decide to close up shop and they don't really have any kind of machines that are worth anything. I'd rather swap machines out, say every 5 years or 10 years, just to keep your machines up and up to date and still worth something, and making accurate parts and everything like that. Dealing with Ellison Technologies is great. I've never had one problem with them. I highly recommend them every time somebody's looking for a machine. Very knowledgeable staff. Salesmen are great. My salesman never tried pushing me on a machine that wouldn't fit my needs or anything like that. Great price, I believe. From what I've looked at other stuff, I couldn't touch another machine with the same stuff for what I paid for this. Their service department's always been great. for the little bit of service I've ever had to do with them, and they have a very knowledgeable staff. Um, if you're looking for like application help, um, you could say send them a part, say, hey, I want a machine, something like this pen, and they like send it to their applications department and say, well, if you got this machine, it would do it. X machine would do this, Y machine would do this. They would go through. You could send them a model, and they would run a demo for you. Just to say, this machine will make this part. Here, we've actually done it on this machine that we're trying to sell you, and they're not going to sell you something that it's not going to work for you. So that's great. I can't speak highly enough of them. And the DN Solutions is, in my eyes, is hard to beat for the money. They're a great machine. My lathe that I bought, that thing was spot on all day long, from hot to cold, running stainless all day long. And I've used some other ones out there, and I can't say they could even hold a candle to them. So I'm extremely happy with it so far. I'm gonna take you along when I do more stuff. I got some projects that I want to display here on the YouTube, and I'm gonna take you guys with. If you got any questions, ask. If you want to see something, ask. I'll try to do some how-to videos. I'm gonna do a few mods to this machine, just some ideas I have that I think could improve it. Already, wheels are always turning to try to make something perfect, but so far so good. And thanks for viewing. I'll show some pictures of what I have here, unloading the machine and stuff like that. And I hope you guys enjoy. Feel free to ask, and like and subscribe. I'll keep making these videos for you guys. Thank you.